now you have a dilemma because Jameis Winston cleared to come back from his suspension, and Tampa is at Chicago. Do you want to throw Jameis Winston back in there against that Chicago Bear defense on the road? But, the former number one overall pick has had his moments during his 3-year career, and maybe he's the future there. But the Bucs are 2-1, so they have a good problem to have right now. And that problem is you got Fitzpatrick, who has played well, and you got Jameis Winston coming back. I'm not sure if they figure out their quarterbacking situation this year or even as they move forward, because you're going to have to make a decision on Jameis Winston. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a backup quarterback. This has been a fun run. He's played well in those first 2 games. Last night, came back, made it interesting there. But that second quarter is tough to watch. And everybody jumped off the Fitzmagic bandwagon in the second quarter there. Fitztragic is what they were saying on Twitter. So that didn't take long. And we did wonder about this. When Ryan Fitzpatrick came out after the win last week, and he was dressed like Conor McGregor. And we wondered, is this the kind of thing you do now? Could it come back and haunt you? And probably. Now, I loved it. And he was gracious to join us last week and talked about that he is mistaken for Conor McGregor before. But now you look at Conor McGregor, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Well, it was tough to tell the difference between the two in the second quarter last night. Fitzpatrick, the first player in NFL history to pass for 400 or more yards in 3 straight games at any point in a season. Only a handful of players have ever thrown for 400 yards 3 times in a full season. And it's a pretty good list here of those who have done it. Dan Marino did it the most at four times in a season, along with Peyton Manning, but Marino again in a season. Eli did it 3 times in a season. Tony Romo, Phillip Rivers, and now Ryan Fitzpatrick has done it in back-to-back-to-back games. So right now he's got 1,230 yards, the most. That's the second most all-time through a team's first 3 games in a season. The only one who has surpassed him is Tom Brady in 2007 when he threw for 1,327 yards.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day.
All righty, come up with a poll question here. McLovin, you got something for me?
Well, we could start with, and I don't know what the question is exactly. Would you start Jameis Winston or Ryan Fitzpatrick in week 4? I think they have a built-in excuse with a short week. It's at the Bears and Khalil Mack. So I don't even know if they're going to look at it like that. I'm assuming the short week would be an excuse.
I don't know if you can make a case for Jameis Winston coming back from the suspension. And I'm sure the locker room is divided here. Probably wasn't as divided prior to last night, but I can't put him in there against that Chicago defense on the road right away.
And then a bye right after that.
Yes. And I think if you're going to make a decision, it would be during the bye week. If you're going to bring Jameis back, let's see how Fitzpatrick does in Chicago. Yeah, Paul.
But this is more about next season than this season. If you start Ryan Fitzpatrick and he beats the Bears defense, he's going to be real hard to take out with that bye week. He may cement himself.
If I'm Dirk Cutter, I need to make the playoffs or I don't have a job. Plain and simple. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick has me at 3-1 and we beat the Bears, who I think are a playoff caliber team, and then you go into the bye week, okay, you can. If I'm Dirk Cutter, I'm looking at this year. I'm not going, what is my future here? Because I don't know if Jameis Winston's your future. I wouldn't invest in him as my future. As talented as he is, I would not. Yes, Eden.
So who do you feel is better for your career? I mean, whose hands are you putting your job in, Ryan Fitzpatrick or Jameis Winston?
Well, I don't know what Dirk Cutter thinks. I would probably go with Fitzpatrick right now. But this is going to be week to week. He has to get this team. They have to be competitive. And that's a really tough division to be competitive in. And I think if they go 5-11, I just don't think he keeps his job. He might have to make the playoffs to keep his job. I could certainly see that. Yeah, Paulie.
There is a big money aspect with Jameis Winston, though. He has a 5th-year option that kicks in next year if the Bucs choose. It's $21 million. He's making $580,000 this year, Jameis. it goes up to $20 million next year.
Yeah.
So if you decide to stick with him, you're paying for him as well.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.